Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to invite you to reimagine the future of naval warfare. We're standing at a critical tipping point where the old rulebook, painstakingly written by superpowers over the last century, is about to be shredded. When we talk about the Lords of the Sea, the first image that usually pops into everyone's head is the massive Supercarrier. You know the ones, those floating cities carrying jet fighters that cost billions to build and millions to operate daily. For decades, this club was exclusive. You either had the GDP of a G7 nation or you stayed near the shore. But today, Turkey, a country once overlooked in the high-end defense industry, is writing a new chapter. They are redefining the aircraft carrier into something scarier, leaner, and far more cost-effective, the drone carrier. It's a concept that democratizes air power at sea, allowing medium-sized navies to project power in ways that were physically impossible just 5 years ago. The star of our show today isn't just any drone. It's the bigger, badder, and smarter brother of the legendary TB2. This is the Bayraktar TB3. It's an armed drone designed specifically to dominate the skies above the oceans. What makes it special isn't just that it flies farther or carries heavier bombs. It's the engineering marvel of its ability to fold its wings and take off of the ridiculously short runways of naval vessels. This innovation is set to shift the global military balance forever. It turns standard amphibious assault ships, vessels primarily designed to halt trucks and marines, into formidable mobile air bases capable of precision strikes. Today, we're going to tear down the TB3 and look at its guts, detailed, granular, but easy to understand. We'll see why the world is watching, why it's a nightmare for surface ships, and why military analysts are calling it a true game-changer in asymmetric naval warfare. Before we dive into the cutting-edge tech of the TB3, let's take a quick look back at its predecessor, the TB2. There's no denying the TB2 built a massive reputation in Eastern Europe and Karabakh. It became a household name, proving that effective doesn't have to be expensive, and that multi-million-dollar main battle tanks can lose to affordable, slow-moving drones. However, despite its legendary status, the TB2 had one major limitation. It was strictly a land-based creature. It needed standard, long concrete runways to operate. This severely limited its ability to project power into the deep blue sea, since it always had to return to a land base to refuel. That limitation is the genesis of the TB3. Bayraktar didn't just slap a new coat of paint on the TB2 or update the software. They went back to the drawing board with one specific goal: naval operations. Now, flying from a ship sounds simple, but it's an engineering nightmare. The biggest challenge isn't just the high winds or the pitching deck, it's real estate. Space on a warship is worth its weight in gold. Every square foot counts. Trying to park drones with fixed 12-meter wingspans on a crowded deck is a logistical impossibility. Tactically, if you can't carry enough of them to sustain a rotation, you can't win the fight. Turkish engineers solved this with a simple yet brilliant solution: foldable wings. Picture a seabird tucking its wings against its body while resting on a cliff. This folding mechanism allows ships like the TCG Anadolu to carry a massive number of TB3s. Estimates suggest upwards of 30 to 50 units depending on the configuration. This multiplies the strike capacity significantly. It transforms a landing platform into a mobile hive, ready to launch a swarm attack at a moment's notice. This is the concept of a drone carrier, something many superpowers have struggled to implement effectively, yet Turkey has already delivered a working solution. Now, let's talk power. Underneath a familiar silhouette, the heart of the TB3 is a beast. It's powered by the TEI PD170, a turbo diesel engine fully manufactured in Turkey. This engine isn't just stronger than the old Rotax engines, it's a high-altitude workhorse. It's tuned to perform exceptionally well at high altitudes, and crucially, to withstand the harsh marine environment, humidity, salt spray, and corrosion, which usually eat standard aviation electronics for breakfast. This rugged heart allows the TB3 to handle a maximum takeoff weight of 1,450 kilograms. That's about 3,200 pounds, which is nearly double that of the TB2. Most importantly, this power-to-weight ratio allows it to take off from a short naval deck without needing a steam catapult or electromagnetic launch system. This is huge because it means you don't need a complex nuclear-powered carrier to launch it. A simple ski jump ramp is all it needs. The question is, it carries more weight, but for what? The answer is weapons and sensors. The TB3 boasts 6 hardpoints under its wings. It supports everything from laser-guided anti-tank missiles like the MAM-L and MAM-C to the new generation smart gliding munitions like the MAM-T. The MAM-T is particularly interesting because it has extended-range wings, effectively turning it into a mini cruise missile. The real highlight for naval warfare is its capability to carry standoff weapons. It can engage small surface vessels, fast attack craft, or coastal targets while staying safely outside the range of enemy short-range air defenses. Beyond firepower, one feature I think is the most critical is communication. The TB3 comes with built-in SATCOM, satellite communication. This is the key that unlocks global reach. Standard drones are limited by line-of-sight radio signals from their ground station, usually about 150 to 200 kilometers. But with SATCOM, the horizon is no longer a limit. It can fly anywhere in the world as long as it has fuel, while the operator sits comfortably at a base in Turkey or deep inside the command center of a ship, controlling the battle in real time from half a world away. This disconnect between the pilot's location and the drone's location creates a tactical flexibility that is hard to overstate. From a strategic perspective, this is a massive disruption in naval history. Traditionally, if a nation wanted sea control, they needed an aircraft carrier and expensive VTOL fighters like the F-35B or the Harrier. That level of budget, tens of billions of dollars, is out of reach for most countries. The Bayraktar TB3 offers a new alternative, the low-cost carrier strike group. Think about the economics of warfare. Instead of risking a pilot and a $100 million jet for reconnaissance, you send up a TB3. It can loiter for 24 hours or more, acting as the eyes of the fleet with its AESA radar and high-res optical cameras. It creates a persistent surveillance bubble around the naval task force. It doesn't get tired, it doesn't need to return for a nap, and it keeps the OODA loop, observe, orient, decide, act, spinning continuously. And if it gets shot down, the loss of one drone is negligible compared to losing a fighter jet. Financially, it's a fraction of the cost. You could lose 10 or 20 TB3s for the price of one manned fighter. But more importantly, there is zero risk to pilot life. In modern democracies, the political cost of losing a pilot can often be higher than the financial cost of the aircraft. Eliminating that risk changes how commanders are willing to deploy these assets. They can be more aggressive, pushing into contested airspace to gather intel or bait enemy air defenses, something you'd never do with a manned jet. This capability allows medium-sized navies to possess deep strike capabilities without going bankrupt. This is why nations around the world are looking at the Turkish model as a blueprint. It's about creating the most cost-effective military leverage in the modern era. To give you a clearer picture, I've summarized the specs and estimated costs in US dollars based on current data. Keep in mind, military hardware doesn't have a sticker price like a car dealership, but these are the estimated frameworks analysts are looking at to evaluate cost versus performance. Looking at this table, I don't want you to just focus on the unit cost. Look at the flight cost per hour. The ability to keep an asset in the air for surveillance day and night for just over $1,000 compared to tens of thousands for a fighter jet, that is massive efficiency. Modern fighter jets require dozens of maintenance hours for every single hour of flight. The TB3 flips that ratio. The money saved here can be reinvested into other critical areas of defense, not to mention saving airframe life on your expensive manned jets for when you really need them. Now, for the big question, who is this for? Is this just a Turkish niche? Absolutely not. This is a blueprint for any medium-sized navy operating LHDs, landing helicopter docks, or light carriers. Nations operating ships with ski jumps like the Juan Carlos I class used by Spain and Australia, or similar vessels in fleets like Brazil, Japan, or even South Korea are looking at a plug-and-play air wing. The TB3 is designed to fit these platforms perfectly. With its foldable wings, which reduce its width to just 8.5 meters, a standard LHD could easily host a squadron of 10 to 12 units without overcrowding the deck or hangar. Imagine the operational tempo, keeping 6 to 8 units below deck for maintenance and arming, while another group is ready on deck for immediate launch. This provides a continuous 24/7 air patrol over a vast maritime zone capable of anti-surface warfare and ISR missions simultaneously. And let's talk budget, because this is where it gets really attractive for politicians and admirals alike. If a Navy wanted to acquire a small air wing of, say, 6 drones, plus the control station and weapons package, we're looking at an estimated investment of around $80 to $100 million USD. It sounds like a lot, but compare that to buying a single new frigate, which can cost upwards of $500 million to $1 billion, or a squadron of modern fighters, which could run into the billions. At this price point, the TB3 offers shocking value. It revitalizes older platforms, turning a ship primarily used for transport or humanitarian aid into a combat-capable carrier with real teeth. Ultimately, the Bayraktar TB3 is more than just a machine. It's a symbol of change. It tells us that in the modern era, the size of the warship might not matter as much as the intelligence of the assets on board. Turkey is teaching the world that relying on indigenous technology is the ultimate form of security, and that you don't need to follow the superpowers doctrine to build a lethal navy. For navies around the world sitting on infrastructure that feels outdated or underutilized, looking at technology like the TB3 or developing similar STOL drone capabilities is the most interesting shortcut to upgrading naval power. You don't need to wait 10 years for a new ship design. This is capability you can touch today. What do you guys think? Should more navies adopt this drone carrier doctrine? Is the age of the manned fighter pilot ending, or is this just a niche support role that will never replace the jet? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read them all, and I'd love to hear your perspective. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss the next video. For today, I'm Mick, signing off. I'll see you on the next battlefield.